Listen. So back in 2017, Justice League was actually the first video we did an LME on, and, well, it got blocked. That said, Warner Bros. Still sent us a private link, so we got the chance to check out this 4-hour epic. You know, the cut that critics said didn't exist and will now be reviewing. The one fans paid for billboards to get the word out. Now it has billboard ads before it comes out. And I'd say it's better. It is a fleshed out version of the main story that we already got in 2017 that I know fans are going to be eating up since it adds to the characters. It builds up Snyder's mythology. You know, it's got extra heroes, better action sequences, but if you already didn't care for it, I'm going to be honest, you already know, it's not going to change your mind. I'll have a full LME to come, but with this video being spoiler free, I'll say that the ultimate cut of BVS does more to help the theatrical than this one does in my opinion, but at least the length allows you to judge the characters the way that Snyder had laid it out, and in fact, they're encouraging you to see it in parts. Let me explain. So as everyone knows, the 2017 cut is a steaming pile of Warner poop that created one of the longest lasting film hashtags that, you know, even with it being released, I feel like it's not going to go away anywhere, but it's finally here and it's full of extended sequences. There's a bunch of deleted scenes, moments that are completely new and even more so rearranged so that it gives you a different perspective of the story. Deborah Snyder even came out and talked about how HBO will be adding these little time markers at the bottom to separate it by the 6 chapters that divide this story, encouraging people to watch it over the weekend kind of like a series, which one, continues to mesh TV and movies more and more like I've been saying, and two, yeah, this definitely needs an intermission, you know. For every extended scene that there are others that they just feel too short, making the pacing feel a little wonky. But I know that when it comes to DC fans, man, they're going to snort up all those lines in one go. A lot has been said about the aspect ratio, which is meant to be seen in IMAX, so unless you flip your TV, you will see these black bars on the side of your set, but it's only to broadcast it the way that it was shot, because when Snyder said that we didn't cut out a lot of what he filmed, he actually meant he cut out a lot of what he filmed. About 25% more of the framing will be seen. That's meant to capture the heroes, you know, moving vertically to capture their glory. Kind of like the Hateful Eight, you know, it went super wide to get all the characters sitting in the same shot. He even compared it in an interview to First Cow, which is cool, I guess, because now more people will be checking that one out. And I can mention that y'all should go check out First Cow. But in terms of Zack's first cut, let me break down which characters get the most justice this time around. Easily the biggest boost from this version goes to Cyborg. I mean, it's kind of tough to get justice from the League when Ray was having trouble getting justice from the studio, but he finally gets a backstory. It turns out that they cut out chunks of this man's lines. While he's still very angsty in this one, you at least get to see more flashback scenes that show you why. He gives one of the bigger speeches within the group. You see more of a back and forth between him and his father, and they show off a lot of his robo abilities, which I still think are a little goofy, but yeah, this man is practically a cyborg Kevin Mitnick. Out of all of them, he's definitely the heart of the team, even though I don't even think he has one. Batman is finally the leader of the group. I know Zack's interpretation has rubbed people the wrong way more than Batfleck has heads on concrete, but ever since adapting Watchmen, it's clear Snyder's been trying to adapt all of DC that way too, seeing how dark and lost these iconic heroes can go and they can become while, you know, still cracking some jokes. But at least they got rid of this corny bit.
Something is definitely bleeding.
There's a big suit sequence that adds a lot between him and Alfred, though in my opinion the product placement just stands in the way. Like it stands out more the grittier and more dramatic that the movie tries to be, but at least this version puts a bigger emphasis on him being the recruiter, the one who's bringing the team together, in a sense trying to become the father that he lost and has been hinted multiple times, and they continue to, the role he once failed at, which again, seriously, y'all need to finish these damn storylines. Wonder Woman is one of the best. Yeah, she's the shooter of the group. Legit, no one kicks more ass than her, since she's the Amazonian warrior who always shows up when she needs to. This time around, the fights are edited differently, and I think that the aspect ratio helps to frame the heroes a lot better. I do wish the CGI was better, though. There are some shots with the Themyscirians that just feel too green screen. I don't know, they came off too goofy. Steppenwolf did get the biggest upgrade along with his goons, because those are some ugly looking fools, but I will say in terms of Wonder Woman, they add a nice line to her bank sequence that continues to prove she's the most heroic out of all of them, you know, at least as how you judge classic heroes. In every incarnation, she's the one who's never lost hope for humanity and has held the more optimistic perspective, no matter what director has handled her character, and you know, this time around, there wasn't as many Whedon crotch shots. Superman's resurrection is handled way better this time around. Now, granted, you can play the entirety of the first Justice League before he even shows up, but cutting that goofy Spider-Man Homecoming vlog bit from the beginning definitely helps. His black suit is cooler, there's less lines where his British accent slips up, and the way he returns is blocked in a much better way that makes his reaction make more sense, especially if you're treating this as a miniseries, since he'd be coming in right at the end of the 3rd episode, but his presence is still felt throughout the beginning because of Lois's mourning. It reflects back to that flashback scene in BVS where she's meant to be the key, yet again, they still leave you with bigger blue balls than Dr. Manhattan when it comes to that dream sequence, because they're still not finishing these storylines. Aquaman is the badass of the group, he's the loner, he's the one who just says whatever he wants.
My man.
Do I still think he's an aquatic hillbilly? Yes, but the Atlantean scenes added a bunch of blood and brains that actually enhanced the action. The earlier sequence where Bruce goes to look for him is extended, but still follows the same beats. It's just shot better, and it shows you how much better the framing can be. That said, in my opinion, the Atlanteans still sound like 100 gex when they're underwater. Mira also gets some additional scenes, but she comes off stiffer than she did in court. But I think what a lot of people are going to love are the extra heroes. I can't spoil all of them, but it is interesting how they put them in there. Some of it is very retroactive, but again, some of it just makes you curious to see what else they're supposed to do with these characters if they ever finish the storylines. That said, they are much better than the extra villains that they add, in my opinion, because we've seen the Deathstroke clip in the first Justice League cut. I believe it's a little longer this time around, and while I am a big fan of Joe Manganiello, what they do with his character is a little questionable, and what they do with Leto is flabbergasting. Listen, I think Jared Leto is a good actor, but recently the best performance he's played is that of himself as Jared Leto, sneaking parts of him into these roles. And if you listen to a lot of his interviews, certain words and inflections are starting to find their way into these crazy characters that he's playing, and I don't know what he was doing in this movie.
I guess I can't say what I really want to say, but holy guacamole! What a performance!
Holy guacamole!
It's like a dash of Suicide Squad Joker blended in with a bit more of Heath Ledger, and he legit looks like he made out with Batman prior to a scene, and kind of acts like it too. All I'll say is that it's still not working for me. The Flash comes in as the comedy relief, and we finally get to see his scene with Iris, and of course leave it to Snyder to make a scene that's supposed to be cute also come off creepy and weird and over the top as we get a slow-mo of a hamburger bun seed right before a vehicular collision. But I do think the way they cut Barry's dialogue makes him more likable, and they make the lines hit different. For example, right after Bruce picks him up, there's a background billboard promoting AFSP, reminding you that you're not alone, which goes well with what Barry had just said.
I need friends.
In all the interviews leading up to the release, Snyder stated that the biggest reason he decided to finish this cut, even foregoing his cut and donating it, was for the fans, and his daughter Autumn, who the film is dedicated to. He's spoken about his connection to Man of Steel and how he relates to Clark's adoption, how having people who care for you and nurture you can build you up to be a hero, yet sometimes you still can't save the ones you love. And as much as he's been grilled for his use of Hallelujah, he mentioned that the rendition used in the closing credits is a tribute to Autumn's favorite song by the artist who sang it at her funeral. So as someone who doesn't think the film was a masterpiece and still think that there's some stuff there that makes it drag on, I still think it's cool how it came to be. It may even be more interesting than the movie. Because love it or hate it, like the story of the League, the fans united to resurrect a story that they had a lot of hope in and proved that coming together can bring about justice against a corporation that's still making bank off of this cut. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section for when you catch it. It's only a matter of time before we get the making of doc for the Snyder Cut. And then there'll probably be a Snyder Cut of that. But hey, I'm happy for the fans. I think it's interesting to see how all of this has played out from a movie that didn't exist to, I guess, did exist to, I think they wanted to put it out without even editing it. But hey, I don't know how you get the budget for a movie twice over. That's crazy. I'm curious to see how they're going to play it out. I know that they have a lot of promotion going for this. This is the big thing that they want for HBO Max. They have a Snyder Cut meal box out there. I ordered it because I'm curious to see what the what the coffee tastes like. But I'm curious to see how they're actually going to play this, seeing that it's streaming. Like, they're encouraging people to see it in parts. So does that mean It's not a series, so, watching a different episode where you're stopping in is still one view of a series. Because it's a movie, does coming back to see it in parts count as 4 times the views? Those are stuff that really intrigue me to see how they're going to play with the analytics, but overall, I'm curious to see how it all plays out. The reaction to the fans, I know, is going to be very positive. For me, again, the fans are going to love it. The people who don't, you're not really going to care for it. Personally, because of the length, I think it's a perfect rent it to catch at home if you're interested. If you had the opportunity to, obviously a junior price because it is shot in IMAX, so you may want to see it in that format at least once. But we'll see how it all plays out. I'm curious to see if they're going to continue the Snyderverse because a lot of these are setups. He did say this, just talking about how, they wanted his version. That's what he gave them. And I'm sure that there'll be a demand for him to continue it. But as far as the Snyderverse goes, in my opinion, I'd still put the BVS Ultimate Cut as the top of his, then Snyder's Justice League, then Man of Steel. But I'll be talking more about that all when I can talk spoilers. Until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and Snyder will follow you on Vero.